Hey, welcome to CEO Check-In. I hope you had a great weekend. I did. I was with my boys at the beach. We went for a little beach getaway, and it was so nice to just be off. I was mainly off even social media, even though I launched this lipstick challenge on Friday, which some of you might have seen, where I'm challenging people to donate the amount of money they would have spent on lipstick over during the quarantine, since we've all been wearing masks out and not buying as much lipstick, to donate the equivalent of a couple of lipsticks, whether that's $20 each or $30 each or whatever you spend on lipstick, to the $1 Million Women Fund. So I hope you will join me in that. You can see it on my Instagram. We're raising money for scholarships and grants for women of color entrepreneurs and would love your help. But back to the weekend, it was beautiful. I was on the beach. I was hanging with my boys, eating good food and chilling out. And I hope that you did something fun too. It's so important now to take these times away from Zoom and social media and our computers, even if it's just like a staycation. I have a friend who borrowed her friend's apartment here in New York. She lives in Harlem. She borrowed her friend's apartment in the Village and was able to spend 24 hours just having me time. She's got 2 kids. You know, if you've been quarantining with your children, you probably need a little me time by now. So I hope you're taking that time for yourself. And if you're the CEO, which many of you are, this is CEO Check-In, to model that for your team, right? And encourage them to go away and them to take time off. You know, we're now only about halfway through the year, which is sort of unbelievable, right? Because it feels like 2020 has been going on for like a decade, but it's not even August. So we have many more months of 2020 to go, and the fall will be upon us. And even though we don't know what that's going to look like, we know it will be busier, as the fall always is. So we got to take that time while we can now in July and August to recharge, whatever that looks like for you. Saying hi to some folks. Hi, Rabia. Hi, Dana. Hey, Maddie. Good to have you with us. The other thing I've been thinking about is the economy, because we've seen that the stock market has rebounded, and that's great. But strong stock market does not mean strong economy. And in my just talking to women in our community and talking to peers, it's clear that business is not back. It's still down, way down, and we have to be even more proactive about keeping in touch with our customers, delighting our customers. I just had a blog go live last week called How to Delight, Not Deter Your Customers, inspired by an experience I had with my moving company, where I went back to a moving company I'd used 4 times, and I just referred them business and said, hey, well, maybe you want to give me a little discount on my upcoming move. I'm moving here in New York in a few weeks. And they were like, no discount. We're just going to do a great job again. And I just found that so shocking that in this time when customers are so precious that they wouldn't have had some kind of a built-in referral program. So that got me thinking, and I wrote a whole blog post about it, so you can check it out. There are a whole bunch of lessons in that one little interaction. And I know that you see business lessons everywhere too. Hi, Christina. So please feel free to write in. We're running a little contest where someone is going to be a guest blogger on my blog. We reach thousands of women through my blog. We have 20,000 on my newsletter list, and we reach many thousands more. So please consider writing in a business lesson you learned about how to delight, not deter your customers. It could be something you're doing in your business or something you just experienced, like I just did with the movers. We'd love to hear about it. And the winner is going to be a guest blogger and get free access to the Sales Cure, which is my DIY sales method program. So my Go Big tip for today is about creating an easy way to reward your customers for referring you business. And you might be thinking, well, my customers already do refer me business, Julia, so I don't need this Go Big tip. But what I've found is most people don't have a built-in system in their company for how to reward customers for referring you business. And the reason this is so important is that everyone is super busy. And even though your customers may love you and may want to refer you, they have a super long list of things to do, just like you do. I go to sleep every night with, at least 10 to 20 emails not answered. I'm sure you do too. So how do you get it so that your customers push that email to the top of their list of letting their friend know, hey, I used this mover. They were great. You should use them too. Or I bought my favorite top from this designer. Have you ever checked her out? So it's not that they're not going to refer you anyway, it's that you want to make it easy for them and give them a little reward. Because what we've learned from human behavior is that if something is rewarded, you tend to do it again. Think of Pavlov's dogs, right? If you ever studied Psychology 101 in college, that Pavlov's dogs were trained that if they rang a bell, Pavlov rang a bell, and then the dogs were fed, after a little while, all he had to do was ring the bell, and the dogs would start salivating because they would assume they were going to get fed. So how can we build in a little Pavlovian behavior in our customers where they're not referring us once or twice a year, but maybe once or twice a month? So consider building a referral program where people automatically get a cash incentive for referring you business. Some of the sharing apps are really good at this, whether it's Uber or Lyft. If you refer them, they give you an instant discount, or I use Fresh Direct. The second somebody signs up, I get $25 off because I referred them. So it's not that I wouldn't refer them anyway, but who doesn't want a discount? So that's something to consider in your business right from the get-go, is to create a referral program to make it easy for your customers to refer you and get rewarded for doing so. All right, without further ado, I want to bring on somebody from our community for some live coaching, and also to remind you to be back with us on Wednesday. We have a guest coming on, Heather Willems, before we go to live coaching. Heather is a visual artist, a talented graphic designer, and she specializes in helping entrepreneurs tell their stories through graphics. She has been behind some amazing graphics, including coming and recording the entire $1 Million Women Summit, our first year, graphically. So I hope you'll join me Wednesday, because the better you are at telling the story of your business, whether through images or words, the easier it'll be to reach new customers and have people understand what you do. We're about to go live with a really cool new graphic we just made for $1 Million Women, and we're big believers in this graphic storytelling. So please join us on Wednesday. Heather and I met in the Entrepreneur Organization. She's been a mentor in the $1 Million Women community. She's been at the summit every year, and I can't wait to have this chat with her. Welcome if you're just joining us now. I'm about ready to go live and see who needs some coaching today. I see Christina, who I haven't seen in a really long time. I'm just going to see if you want to jump on. Oh, no, she can't join. All right. Glad you're with us, though. Let's see. Who is in jewelry? Maybe you want to go live today and see what I can help you with. And the questions can be about something as simple as, well, how do I create a referral program? Or something about your pricing in your business. Maybe it's about next steps that you're trying to figure out so that you can decide how to keep making money during the pandemic. What kind of shifts? What kind of pivots? Everyone in our community is asking those exact same questions. And I'm really pleased to report that in the $1 Million Women community, everyone is still in business and making money. So if that's something that is feeling hard for you right now, please keep showing up to these CEO check-ins. It's great to hear what other women are up to and be able to emulate some of the things that we know are working, right? Why should we reinvent the wheel? We have women who have relocated their stores. I'm thinking of Mindy, who has a store that was in Williamsburg, a children's high-end fashion store. And she shut down that store and moved out to the Hamptons because so many New Yorkers are now out in the Hamptons that she did a pop-up shop there. And that's led her to have a whole big new retail space in the Hamptons that's doing really well. And she also started sending boxes of clothes to her clients so that they could try them on at home and not have to come to the store. So people are just getting really creative, and I want to make sure everyone can benefit from some of the best practices that we're seeing in our community. So let's see who is ready to go live today. Let me try somebody else. Welcome, Diaries of Her Journey. And if you want to go live, if you have something you want some help with, then feel free to just make a request and I will bring you on. Let me just try one more time with, I think Dana is with us from Doodle Doos. Hi, Dana. She may be able to go live. She has a children's hair salon and toy store with locations in downtown New York. And of course, that's a hard hit business, right? Because people are kind of afraid to go get their hair cut in person, don't want to put their kids at risk. She has been able to reopen, but of course you can't have as many people in the salon. So many businesses are based on volume, right? And volume of customers coming in every day. And now with social distancing, a lot of that is having to get rethought, and people are really reinventing their business models. Okay, nope, she can't come on. Probably busy with some of those customers in the salon. That's fine. Let's see if, oh, hi, Lori. Maybe Lori wants to come on today. We're just talking about how to delight, not deter your customers, which is also my recent blog post. You can see it at juliapimsleur.com. Just go there and look for the blog. One thing that I've noticed is that a lot of people in our community are thinking about how can they add additional revenue streams. That's also been a really big topic, because many people up until the pandemic and the slowdown or the recession or whatever you want to call what we're in, just had one way of making their money. So maybe it was having a store or doing live coaching for people in corporations where you would actually go to the corporation. Now they're having to make those into online programs. Or back to the case of Mindy, she had people coming to her children's retail store, but then she started sending them boxes of clothes because people didn't want to come in anymore. In the case of Valencia, who runs an essential oils business, she was selling to spas and hotels, but then she pivoted and started selling direct to consumer. So I'd be curious to hear about pivots that you guys have made, and maybe I can help you with some of those transitions. I know that Rabia, you're in the middle of a big transition to doing more virtual. Let's see if you want to go live today and tell us what you're up to. All right, here comes Rabia. Hey, good morning.
Hi, morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. I guess good afternoon, right? It's 12:15.
Yeah, already.
The morning went by quickly. How was your weekend?
It was good, thank you. Yeah, just kind of, honestly, you know how you were saying you're at the beach? For me, I live by Pier 84, and I just kind of needed to decompress a little. So I chilled outside for a while in the heat. And I was,
Did you just like take a blanket and go sit out and not check your phone, hopefully, for a couple hours?
Honestly, and it can be addicting because I've been noticing, I'm trying to enhance my digital strategy and trying to be out there more. And then when people reply to my comments, I get excited. And this is coming from someone who totally was not engaged in social media. And I'm like, I need to limit like how obligated I feel to reply and respond to every single thing right away to give my head the space too.
I know what you mean. It's almost like you have to, say, okay, twice a day I'm going to do this, but in between I'm not going to check obsessively, see who replied to what or who liked what.
Exactly. You know, my brother was just sharing with me. He said he read something that said, on average, people scroll the length of the Statue of Liberty on Instagram each day.
What? Oh my God.
Yeah. I was like, I don't want that to be me. Yeah. I was like, that's a lot.
That is a lot. Well, and I've even almost considered getting those like, what is it called? Blue light blocking glasses. Because when you think about how much time we're spending looking at screens right now, right? That's like a little scary. I just had my eyes checked last week. I had a feeling maybe they had declined between all this and writing my book, which I just handed in, but turns out they're the same.
Totally.
But and I did ask the eye doctor about the blue light glasses, and he kind of didn't believe in it, so I figured out.
Really? Yeah. Yeah. No, anything helps, I think. So,
and how's it going with the videos?
It's good. Yeah, I think I shared with you for my leadership and coaching and org strategy, culture work that I do. I have a video for each of my 3 core offerings, so I'm going to slowly kind of release them over the next week or so. I did one. So I'm trying to be more active in doing the other 2 as well.
That's great. And just for folks who are joining us for the first time, because I do see some new people jumping on, if you would introduce yourself and talk about what you do and maybe the pivot you made, because I think everyone's trying to figure out, how do I add additional revenue streams? How do I do more on social media, do coaching or selling remotely? So I'd love you to share a little bit what you've been up to.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Rabia Shafi. I have my own consulting firm. I started about 3.5 years ago, and I work with leaders. Really, the premise is happy employees lead to happy customers. So it's really essential for leaders to get their stuff together and set the tone for a culture that they want to have in their workplace. And that has a ripple effect on the customer experience and pretty much everyone, all the stakeholders. So I help teams. I do a lot of coaching for executives and also division heads and kind of leaders at different stages of their career. And I also work on leadership development. So I do workshops to help people kind of show up in the way that people can be feeling like they can trust you and they want to follow you, and you can lead by example.
And I remember,
of course,
before COVID, you were doing this all in person, right? This was
all in
all
person.
in person.
Yeah.
So you had to make some really big shifts.
Exactly. And actually, one of my other service offerings is organizational culture strategy, where I get senior leadership team members, typically in real life, in the same room, and we work through what kind of culture do you want to have. So the biggest pivot has been doing those alignment sessions, breaking them, the 2-day sessions, into several hour chunks with senior leaders, like 10 to 12 of them, and working through some really hard stuff. So yeah, that was a big pivot.
But you know what? Leaders need you more than ever right now, right? It's like those problems are really big for leaders. They're managing their teams, when to have people come back. People are afraid to come back, right? Because of depending what state they're in, how safe it is. And there's so little guidance right now, right? That state by state is being decided.
Yeah.
It's a very confusing time. What are you hearing from leaders? What are a couple of things you're hearing?
Yeah, you know what? I think one of the big things is how do we show our teams that we're still there, and the essence of our culture that's being tried by this storm that's going on, essentially. Like, how do we relay that to people and let them know that that's always going to be our through line, because things are murky right now and it's unclear. So I think staying true, the biggest question is who are we right now in this crazy time, and then how do we stay true to it? That's kind of what they've been coming to me with.
That's really interesting. And also, how do you even do culture via Zoom, remotely, right?
How do you do
we
it?
had a culture at $1 Million Women where we celebrated each other's birthdays. And funny enough, I went to our office last week to pick something up, and it still said on the whiteboard, like, happy baby shower to the last person we had a baby shower for. Right? And that was a big part of our culture, right? But we can't do that now. So are you hearing things like that too? Like, how do you take that in-person culture and translate it to this?
Absolutely. And I think, to be honest, like, some of my clients have office cultures where they're on Zoom, but a lot of them are in retail where they're still in the stores now that it's reopened. I support community healthcare centers where you have clinicians and they're working with one another. So while the virtual stuff happens, there is a lot of in-person, but still separate. And one of the things, it's a tip I actually picked up from a client. They invited me to give an update because I'm working on their org culture. So they do a daily huddle for 15 minutes, like 9:15 to 9:30, every single morning with all their doctors, all their clinicians, and admin support. And they do like a round robin, like quick updates, and it's all on video. And I love it because at the end they say, okay, what's our word of the day?
Oh, and just like on Sesame Street.
I know. I was like, and I was the speaker to give an update on the engagement. They're like, Rabia, what's our word of the day? And I was like, shoot, I wasn't planning it, but I was like, how about real talk? Like,
nice.
Make that the word of the day.
That's good. Yes, like tell it like it is. Real talk.
Tell it like it is.
They let you get away with 2 words.
I asked them permission first. They were okay with it. So
that's really good. That's interesting. So that's a good way that people are staying in touch. Is just a quick video check-in. And that's actually a best practice also in the scaling up community. Our board member, Vern Harnish, who wrote the book Scaling Up that we read in Masterclass, he's strong advocate for the daily huddle, usually in person, right? But now being adapted to online. And what would you say the benefit of that is if someone's considering, okay, maybe I should integrate that into my team culture? What's the benefit of that little daily check-in?
Yeah, and that came up today because I talked with that same client, and one of the biggest things is leadership presence. So even if you're busy, even if the topics don't really have anything to do with you and they're solving operational issues that are out of your, scope of work, it's like seeing your face there, knowing you're there, you're in it with the team. It's that it is a visual connection, and that you are ready and available to to
That's
be
interesting.
present.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. And you know, what it reminds me of is during the quarantine, a friend of mine who works for a Fortune 100 company was so
Hmm.
eager to show me this video that his boss made, which was this
Yeah.
very kind of casual video. He like had the beard right from the quarantine, and he was like
Yeah.
in his library at home, and he did this very heart-to-heart video that he sent out to
Yeah.
thousands of people in his company, and it
Totally.
meant so much to my friend. He was so proud of how his CEO was
So
doing this, and he
proud.
wanted to
Yeah.
show it to me. So I just thought,
Yeah.
wow, what a great example, right, of exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
It's a totally great example. And as you know, I coach a lot of leaders too. And in particular during this time, they're like, well, I don't really know what the answers are. I'm still waiting for New Jersey to open up or whatever the situation is. And I was like, the thing is, you're not expected to have every single answer, but being able to make yourself available and frankly vulnerable and saying, look, we're learning right along with you, but I'm going to keep in touch and keeping these open lines of communication. Like that, I think you can never over communicate, period, but you can never over communicate during a time of
That
uncertainty.
is so true. And, you know, we've had a lot of women in our community who wondered when the pandemic hit and the quarantine,
Yeah.
should I cancel everything? Do I have to refund everyone's money? You know, what do I do?
Right.
And I know that
Yeah.
for us, we had a trip planned to Spain, to Mallorca, Spain.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
our mutual
Yeah.
friend Carrie
Mhm.
was, you know, on it. And so we
Yeah.
had that same question. Do we just cancel it, give everyone's money back? What do we do? And we decided to do exactly what you're talking about, where we just held a series of meetings. And when
Yeah.
every meeting we went into, we were like, well, we don't know what's happening any more than you do. We don't know if we can ever go to Spain
Exactly.
again. But we all
Yeah.
decided together every step of the way. We've had 3 meetings now via
Mhm.
Zoom. And at first it was like, okay, let's defer to June. And then June came and went. And then it was
Yeah.
like, let's defer to September. Now we have it in March 2021, but we're also
Okay,
considering
good.
just moving the whole thing to the US. And so rather than
Yeah.
us having to decide that and then tell them,
Mhm.
we just decided
Yeah.
to engage them in the process. And I bring that up
I
because I
think
think
that's
it's
so
exactly what you're
helpful.
talking about.
I think that is so helpful. And you know, one of the things, because I give so many leadership tips to leaders, I think what you're saying is really touching upon something where if you are not the leader in that situation or in that group, it's also about having empathy for them. And because I coach VPs and directors and also the CEO on the same team, and they're like, you know, I'm not really getting communicated with, or I don't really know where the CEO is on this. And I was like, well, have you asked like how they're doing? Because they're also going through, they're human, you know? So I think there's this term, like we have an expectation to lionize and the other leaders as though they should be
Yeah, put
all
them on a
knowing and
pedestal, right? And they should
put
have
them
all
on a
these answers.
pedestal. Yeah, yeah. But I love how it's like, well, what about the openness of a conversation and engaging? I think it just humanizes us in a time where, frankly, no one really has the answers, and that's okay. Who has? It's not even coronavirus, right? But it's like, who has ever had all the
Well,
answers
good
before? I
point,
think
right?
it's
This just makes it
yeah,
even more evident that we don't have all the answers because
totally,
everybody's confused. And we're all getting
totally.
creative, I think. I mean, like on my team, you know, Maddie lives in Brooklyn, my chief of staff, and she has to commute in
Yeah,
and come to the office, but we're not sure when that's going to feel safe. So we're just
yeah.
getting really creative, and I just hired an executive assistant to help me out a few
Oh,
days a
good.
week. Yeah, right here in my
Yeah,
neighborhood because she's someone who can just walk to my house. So that's not
yeah.
something I would have planned or thought would be happening, but it's working for
Right.
us. So I'm sure
Yeah.
you're hearing about all kinds of creative solutions right now.
Totally, totally. And I think, and people are saying pivot is like the number one overused word these days. Like, how do we pivot? But that's actually what people are doing right now because you
How
kind
about
of
creative? We can start using creative instead, right? Forget
create.
pivot. Pivot's out. Creative is in.
I know, right? I know. I am actually a mutual friend of ours, Nkrumah, who
Yes,
is a business professional with a tax
he's
advisory
awesome.
firm. He's awesome, and he says something always like adapt or get left behind. I was like, that's really true, especially now. So
Yes.
I think it's not just a business sense, like, oh, what services and products are you offering? It's like you have to adapt and flex your leadership muscles, or you're not going to be successful. whatever that means these days.
Right. And
So
that's where I think having these best practices that we've been sharing here in the Million Dollar Women community is so helpful because,
yeah,
what does that look like? What are other people doing? I know as a CEO, I'm calling other CEOs. How are you handling this? So that's
totally.
really helpful. So back to you and your business model. So what are you
Yeah.
working on right now that maybe we could talk about and that might help other women who are being similarly creative?
Sure. Yeah, thank you. I think one of the questions I do have, and now I'm afraid to use the word pivot, but I do have a personal pivot coaching program where I think I was sharing with you that a lot of folks at different stages in their career are really using this unprecedented time of introspection to think about, is this really what I want to do moving forward? And, I don't know where I want to go next, but I know I want to show up differently, And one of the things I wanted to ask is, I've launched this program, but the difference is there's not the backing of an organization funding this coaching, like a 6-month executive program. So it's really it's B2C. And so there's a personal investment. And I'm like, one of the things I want to ask you is this notion of pandemic pricing, because I want to make this attractive for people enough to come and actually really prioritize themselves and invest in themselves, because I think it's so essential, but then not be scared by the price. But then I'm like, do I launch pandemic pricing, but does it sound too desperate or like as a business owner?
No, this is a great question, Rabia, and every single person I'm working with in coaching is asking this exact same question right now. So you're not alone. I think that the key is to have a price that is your regular price and that shows the actual value of what you're offering, and to make that really clear, and then to acknowledge the time we're in, right? And say, okay, well, usually it's this, right? Usually it's 16,000, but because of the time we're in, and I know there's a lot of uncertainty and it's a hard time to invest in yourself, I'm making it available right now during the pandemic only for 50% off. It will never be this inexpensive again, right?
Yeah.
Right now, it's $8,000. I'm just using arbitrary amounts, right? Right now, it's $8,000 to work with me. It's over a period of 3 months, and the result is you're going to come away with such clarity about your next steps that you'll be looking back on this coaching for years to come, saying, wow, I'm so glad I took that time and made that investment while I had a little bit of downtime. Because this is going to set you up for that whole next phase of your career, right?
Totally.
So I think that's the way to go. And then we also talked last time about really knowing what the value is to them. And this is true for anyone setting pricing, is to get crystal clear on how are they going to save money or make money, right? Because at the end of the day, if they're spending their money, they want to know they're going to make it back either by making more or saving. Is that something you've been able to think about a little bit since we talked last time?
Yeah, actually, I think that's helpful because I think, like you're saying, like what is the ROI for that person? And one of the things that I really have to kind of untrain my brain is focusing on the how. Like as you said, they're coming to you because you are hopefully an expert in that field who knows the how and the journey. So I think that's helpful. And one of the other questions
just define that for people watching? So sorry to interrupt, but so the how is talking about how you deliver your product or service. So like we have a trainer in our community, Bianca, and so if someone calls her up and says, look, I really want to get fit and I want to be stronger and I've heard you're awesome and I want to work with you. If Bianca has a precious 20-minute phone call with that person, should she spend that time saying, okay, well, here's how it's going to work. I'm going to take your credit card. We're going to charge you every Monday. You're going to show up for Zooms, and the Zoom is going to last 30 minutes, and you should probably have good lighting and air conditioning. No, all that is the how. Right. It's not that interesting, and it's not going to get the person excited to, pull out their credit card and do what they need to do. We want to focus on the result, which in her case would be more like, okay, well, so what are your goals? Do you want to be stronger? Do you want to lose weight? And to really focus on what's on the other side of working together. And that's the same whether you're a fitness coach, a leadership coach like you are, or even selling clothing or selling, essential oils. It's all about what is this going to do for your customer and what is that worth to them. And the clearer you can be about that, the easier it's going to be to get them to say yes.
Yeah. Got it. No, I think that's such a helpful tip. And it's like, after years of doing something some way, you kind of have to undo it in here. So unprogram. Yeah, exactly. And the other just related question I have is, I totally am aligned with your approach in terms of explaining the value and the pricing that, hey, normally it's like this, and now you can do this for me for this amount. Do you recommend putting out a video with that to the general kind of public, or wait to have that conversation about pricing when you're with that person on the call?
Another time eternal question, right? Do I put my pricing on my website or in my communications? I think it really depends what the price point is. Research on pricing has shown that at the higher pricing, such as, leadership coaching, or like I do, right, scaling coaching, where we're talking about thousands of dollars, in some ways it can only hurt you to put the pricing out there, because people get sticker shock and don't even call. And you and I have talked a lot about how we're just problem solvers, right? As coaches, as entrepreneurs, we're solving people's problems. So the number one thing we want to be able to do is get them on the phone and understand their problem better. And through that call, and using my sales method, the sales cure, you can get at, do they really have a big problem? Are they ready to solve it? How much is it worth to them to solve it? And when you know the answer to all of that, then you know whether it's worth, back to the number I used randomly earlier, $8,000. And maybe it's not an $8,000 problem, right? Maybe like they pretty much know what they want to do. They just need a little bit of guidance, and they're not going to spend $8,000. But if you just put that price up there, you might turn off a bunch of people, and you won't be able to have that conversation. My theory is the thing we have to be so good at is naming the problem. Because as I've often taught, if people think you understand their problem, they think you're the one to solve it. So I say, instead of spending 1 minute thinking about, should I say the price, should I write it and cross it out, unless it's a low dollar and it's not going to freak anybody out, I would say spend all that energy on how can I show them that I really understand their problem, by using their words, by having testimonials of people who talk about the exact same problem they have. And I think you're doing some of those things now, aren't you?
I'm trying to,
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, that's helpful, because I don't sell widgets or products at a low price point. But as you said, when it comes to coaching or leadership development or strategy, it is a higher price point just by the nature of the work. So
it is, and it's going to be a conversation, right? It's just going to have to be a conversation until, your brand is so huge that people are like, okay, it's you, I'll just sign up, right? But that takes a long time.
I can't wait till that point.
During a pandemic, it's not going to start right this minute. But you offer so much value, and even just that conversation with you will bring them so much value. So maybe it's also about communicating that, right? Like, even if you don't sign up with me, you're going to learn things on this call, and maybe that will be encouraging enough for people to take that leap and say, no, let me check out what this Rabia has to say, because I saw all these cool logos on her website. She's worked with all these big companies. She's helped all these other leaders. So why not me?
Why not me? Yeah, that's what I would love for people to leave the call being like, well, what is at risk if why shouldn't I be doing this, right? That's the ultimate kind of case scenario, I think. So,
absolutely. Well, we'll come back Wednesday, Rabia, because we have Heather coming on, Heather Willems. And if you just joined us the last few minutes, we have a guest on Wednesday, Heather Willems. She is a visual strategist, and she's going to help us figure out how to better tell our story through visuals. So there might be something in that for you as well, in helping your clients to see that you understand their pain points.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be there.
I know. I can always count on you.
Awesome.
You're my co-pilot on CEO Check-In.
Exactly. Love it.
Great to see
you. Thank you so much.
I can't wait to see your video. I'll be looking for it on social media.
Sounds like a plan.
Day.
Thanks, Julia.
Take care. See you Wednesday. All right, everyone. Well, great starting off the week with you. I hope this is going to be a fantastic week. We have to make it fantastic, right? That's up to us. So focus on the things you can control. Call up your clients, stay connected, build cool products and services while, it's a little bit of a downtime, and try not to spend too much time looking at the news, because not that much has changed. And if you look once a day, that's plenty. Keep your energy focused on what you can control, and stay in touch with the $1 Million Women community. We are here to support you and to bring you best practices of what other CEOs are doing to keep their businesses thriving. I will see you guys Wednesday, and can't wait to introduce you to Heather Willems. Have an awesome day. Bye, Lori. Bye, Maddie. Bye, Diaries of Her Journey. Bye, Nicole. Bye, In Jewelry. Bye, Christina. Bye, Dana from Doodle Doos. See you soon. Take care.